Hey, everybody. Yep, I'm actually doing it. What is this, the fourth day? Yeah, I think so. The fourth day of my quest to create a book by January 1st, 2021. And it's called BOOKWARD BOUND, from 301 days from I should really do this to done. And that 301 days comes from the fact that when I got back here from social media marketing world, I started thinking about, you know what? I got to hold my feet to the fire on getting a book that I've been thinking about for a long time done. What better way to do it than to do it live on various digital properties where people can tune in and actually watch me write the book? And if for no, and the thing is, maybe the subject isn't terribly interesting, or there will be times where I'm just sitting there going tap, 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 tap. But the fact is, that's how you got to get, that's what you've got to do to get a book done. And frankly, today's a great example. It's a Sunday. What is it? It's March 8th. And I just don't feel like doing it today. If I had my druthers and I hadn't made a commitment to you, I would not be doing this right now. But because I did make this commitment to you, I am doing this right now. So let's get right into it by going over and opening up a program that I like to use. I want to get rid of this. Hold on. Have you heard of Scrivener? It's a book writing software app that is actually pretty darn good. It's pretty darn cool. So you can see it right there in front of me or in front of you. And it's really designed to help you write a book. So it's got all this stuff kind of figured out. Things like what's called front matter, which is the stuff before your book, copyright pages, dedication pages, stuff like that. So, and it's got this in here where you can actually plug in, you can double click on this, I think. Come on, baby. But anyway, you can actually write the stuff in here. So I've got the title page, I've got the copyright page, dedication page. I mean, literally, how simple can it be? Insert dedication here. I'm going to say, I'm going to figure that out later, because that's a very sensitive topic. To write a book and be married and not dedicate it to the person you're married to, you better have a really good reason. And I don't have that reason yet, and I have to think this through a little bit further. But that's the whole thing about writing a book. There are so many decisions to be made, and the best way to get a book done is to start making decisions. Says the man who's not going to make a decision about this dedication. Thank you very much. Okay, so contents. That'd be like table of contents, stuff like that. I think what I'm going to do is insert, not image link to document, bibliography set of litigations. I am going to add an untitled document in here. And I'm going to call it I am not a fiction writer, period. And I'm going to put that in quotes because that was me actually talking to someone early on at an agency I worked at. I'm going to tell the story in this and just say, am not a fiction writer. And then I'm going to tell that story in here. But right now, I think what I'm going to do is bop back and forth between my outline and Scrivener. So I'm going to open up iThoughts. And I'm going to open up recent nonfiction brand courses. In it is the book. So I'm going to move this over here on this screen. And you can see I am not a fiction writer is going to be a section in the book. So I'm going to call these parts sections. So the next one down, branding gets personal. I'm going to add another one below that. The birth of brand. A little bit of history there, simplified history. Don't worry, it's not going to be boring. And actually, I need to go up here and go. I don't know if I'm going to call it the theory, but I'm going to placeholder. And then I believe that I can kick these over, or maybe not. But this is a section. So this is, I'm going to put sections all in caps. Just theory like that. This one, a logo. Gonna leave it at that. And the whole thing is, this is all set up as the Nonfiction Brand book. My title page, I can call it project title. These tags get replaced with the information set in the metadata pane of compile. So I don't want to touch anything that looks like that. There will be a metadata page that I am not going to worry about now, but just know that the project title will be plugged in there. You know, copyright, year, date, author, ISBN number, that will be supplied. Insert dedication, table of contents, and then a section called theory. And I'll go THEORY. So already you can see me. I'm starting to page out the book that right now exists over in iThoughts, my outline. And my outline is not complete quite yet, but I'm at least getting a little bit of a head start here. Because, to be honest with you, I don't feel like actually doing any heavy lifting writing. And that's one of the things you have to think about when writing a book is it's not all just sit down at your computer or whatever you do. God, I got weird hair going today. And write. Yeah, some people can do that, but that's not the way I do it, and not the way you have to do it. For me, I kind of have to see the whole shape of the book, and I'm writing a nonfiction book, or it's got stories in it, but it's not a novel. You know, a novelist might be able to start on page 1 and write all the way down through page 300, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a compelling story or narrative that gets people to engage and then have an outcome by the end of the book, which is, you know, halfway through the book, at the end of the theory part of the book, people should be convinced that, oh my gosh, I should be building a personal brand starting now. Yeah, and the second part of the book is going to be filled with a bunch of hints, tips, hacks, tricks, and techniques for creating that personal brand. So again, theory, practice. So right now, because again, I know when I write best, and I write best in the morning, and right now it's 5:15 p.m., and it's daylight savings time, so it's actually 6:15 p.m., what I'm used to. So I'm just kind of not feeling it, but I am doing it. And if I can give you any advice, it's to advance the ball down the field, or to mix metaphors, chip off a chunk of that, you know, a spherical rock that pushing a book up a hill like Sisyphus, in order that it won't keep rolling down on you, just chip a piece off that sphere and then walk it up the hill, place it there, and have it there done. So I'm starting to shape my book in two different ways. Obviously, via my mind map in iThoughts. And by the way, they aren't paying me, but I do like to share what I'm talking about. Yeah, that appears on your screen, right? iThoughtsX is a Mac OS mind mapping software package or app that I really like. And the cool thing is that it's got a version for iPhone and a version for Mac desktop, and they can sync to each other. So, and I do this a lot, I'll be out walking my dogs and all of a sudden have an idea, stop, pull out my phone, plug it into the iThoughts mind map, and then when I come back, it will be populated on this map right here. So, on this mind map right here. So that's very cool. That's iThoughtsX and HD, which you can get via the Mac App Store on Mac computers or in your phone App Store as well if you want the phone version of it. And I think the phone version works with iPad too. So if you're an iPadaholic, it's a really, really great tool because you can see much more of the screen of what's going on. Highly recommended, iThoughts HD. Now, the other piece of software that I'm using today is called Scrivener. Let me pull up this. Scrivener, concept, interface, design, and development by Keith Blount. I believe this is out of the UK. And if you do any paying attention to how to create your own book on YouTube, you're going to run across Scrivener because a lot of people love it because it makes writing a book easier. So how does it work? Well, you kind of saw it a little bit right here. I can put my section or chapter headings in here and then populate them with sub ideas or et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, I just noticed an extra space, and that's going to kill me. Can't stand extra spaces. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the headings from my mind map in iThoughts and just, actually, I can do this. I can cut and paste. I have an untitled document here. And you'll notice that I name it, and then I can put that in there if that's what I want to do. Or I can just leave it like this. The number one goal of branding. Actually, I'm going to grab all this. Control A. Control C copy. And again, I'm going to space this stuff out because I want to talk about the number one goal, differentiation, the number one technique, demonstration, and what that means. Going down here. So again, I'm cutting and pasting because that's all my brain can do right now. It's a little bit tired from being at Social Media Marketing World this week, and I'm still in recovery mode. I'm going to plug it in both places. Copy, key 3. Right, oops. So this is a really great way just to kind of get your thoughts into the device that's going to be actually, you're going to be using for writing. Because I'm actually going to write the stuff on these pages. And even if I start outlining or developing some of the copy someplace else, I'm going to cut it and paste it into here. And you'll see why as I go through this later. But I'm just a plumber. Oh, this is a great story and one that I'm excited to write about, but I'm actually going to have the plumber I'm talking about on my podcast. And that's a huge tip too. I mean, if you have a podcast, my gosh, you can mine that thing for great story ideas for your book. In fact, it's a great way to think through ideas for your book with people who may be smarter than you in some areas. Like, I like to test out a lot of my ideas with the guests I have on the book. So in this case, the section that's called But I'm Just a Plumber is going to feature a plumber, a master plumber named Roger Wakefield, who I just met at Social Media Marketing World 2020. And he's got a fantastic story to tell. And it's really personal to me because his first year going to Social Media Marketing World was my first year as well. So for him to have the type of brand development that he has over the past 3 years is really very instructive and very interesting to me. And I think it's going to make a really great story in the book. So I'm going to talk to him. All right, so this, fewer, better. What is that about? Well, it's about the fact that I believe in a major theme for this year, for me, has been do fewer things better. Meaning, I'm not a big Facebook fan. I have a Facebook group. Nonfiction Brandversity is a free Facebook group that you can by all means join, but I haven't done a terribly good job at hosting that party. And so I've been asking myself, why am I doing something that I don't really do well? And frankly, that was a big topic at this year's Social Media Marketing World. And I came back with some really big ideas. One, I'm going to write a book in real time in front of people. And then two, I think I'm going to soft pedal, meaning turn down my Facebook group and try to turn it into something that I really want it to be. What I intended the Nonfiction Brandversity Facebook to be is not what it currently is. What I intended for it to be is kind of like a master's level class for people who want to bring their own points of view and learn from others who have their own points of view, expertise, and experience to build and make themselves better, to build their brands. The group is not quite that right now, but it's going to be something else. What? That shall be revealed later. All right, so let's add another page in here. Branded. What's your brand? Now, what's your brandle? Brandle is a portmanteau for brand handle. Okay, hold on. So you can see, take it out of this. Personal brands that blew up. Yeah, there we go. I don't think I like that name. It's a placeholder, but it at least allows me to get something in the book thinking that way. And then Deborah Goats. I want Deborah Goats. And these are just notes that I'm plugging in, because as I write this thing, I'm going to need to remember. Control copy. And then I need. All right. So 3 substantial stories. Deborah, I can't remember her last name, but she's going to be on the podcast. And again, I'm telling you, having a podcast is a tremendous thing for anybody who's writing a book, because it allows you to tap other people's brains while helping them out. I mean, if you ask a smart question of a smart person, what you're doing is bringing out their smarts and sharing it with your audience. But you're also learning from it yourself. And because you're asking that really smart question, there's a halo effect. You know, I like to say that if you shine the spotlight on somebody else, there's some reflection that comes back on you. You can't help but be brightened by that relationship. And a podcast is a great way to do it because you can invite them on. A lot of people will do the podcast because it helps them build, say it with me, their personal brand, and gives you an excuse to get into their heads and learn new stuff. It's really a fantastic killer application. And it's a lot of fun, too, if you have the right frame of mind, like I do. All right, so we're back here. So you can see I've already added a whole bunch of different pages or sections to the book. And the cool thing is, if I want to change the order, I can. So it's not unlike iThoughtsHD, the mind mapping software I use. I can write these things as discrete units that lead into each other. But it's almost like a modern novel. Modern novels, it used to be way back in the day that novels were strictly linear. It happened on January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then things started to get played with time shifts and stuff like that. And modern novels are all over the place. Well, there is a logic to most nonfiction books, which is I set it up to tell you why you should care, convince you that you should care, start teaching you some key concepts, drill down on those key concepts, then give you some worksheets or some places, some resources that you can go to, work you through it a little bit deeper and maybe even a little bit deeper, invite you to a higher level of whatever you're doing, typically in a different book or a new workshop or something like that. And then in the end of the book saying, okay, you have all the tools you need to go out and do this. Now go out and do it. Oh, and by the way, I happen to have a website with some properties, things like a workbook. You can get everything I just talked about, but in a workbook form where you can actually do it within the workbook itself. I think I'm going to do that. But first I got to get this first book done, right? Anyway, so there has to be a certain logic flow, but sometimes you'll have written yourself into a corner and realize, you know what, I need to take this and move it farther down, put something else in so that I can continue to move forward or bring the reader forward through the book. And having this type of tool, like right now, let's say I was in a Word doc writing this book and I was doing it sequentially. And page 15, I'm on page 15 and say, oh, I want page 15 to be after page 55. Well, yeah, I can grab the copy on page 15, cut and paste it after page 55. But inevitably, mistakes are made. Maybe I didn't catch all the keystrokes or something like that. In this case, I can write all my discrete sections and then put them wherever they make the most sense to be. So let's say Birth of a Brand, I might want to move that up here or have it below. I can do that. See? I can do that. I thought I could do that. I'll be honest with you. I haven't used Scrivener since I wrote my first book, Rotoma, so it's been a while, and I need to get reacquainted with it. But it's a great tool, and I'm going to be doing most of the writing in here. All right, so what else do I want to do? I want to get this out of the way. All right, that's there. I have been live for 24 minutes. Does that count? Is that good enough? Is that good enough for today? Have I done enough of my book creation for today to get credit so I can stop and maybe hit it harder tomorrow? Maybe. But the fact is, I'm going to end it for today. Thanks for watching. Continue to watch. This is, I've got, 297 days to go to get this book done. Something like that. Will I? That is the cliffhanger every episode is going to end with. Will I be able to create that book by January 1st, 2021? Cue the music. That's a really good question. and I'm not sure what the answer is going to be, but we're going to find out together. I'm DP Knudten for the Nonfiction Brand podcast and Nonfiction Brand Versity. I'll talk to you tomorrow as I continue the quest to write my book in 301 days or less. Bye-bye.